Morning everyone, Sunday the 28th of August, and Jer here with the Leeds news. Short one today, not a massive amount going around, and I said I'd do one today given the week that we're coming into. So we'll start with the incoming news that's popped up this morning, and Bamba Dieng, who's been linked with Leeds several times during this transfer window, and was linked again this morning with Leeds, Newcastle and West Ham, all being reported from 90 minutes as being interested in the player. A fee of about 13 million being touted. A player that I think we can honestly say will be brought in as a supplementary striker, and definitely not as a main striker, just given the stats and the numbers that he's had in France. Celtic have been strongly linked with that player as well over the course of the summer, and I think he's probably more of a Celtic level player than a top half Premier League player. Moving on to Willianto, and again this morning some more clubs entering the race to sign the young Italian. Leeds were been interested in him for a long time now, and AFC Bournemouth were linked during the week with him. Club Bruges have now entered the race as well, and Leeds are expected to increase their offer they currently have on the table of $2.5 million to try and lock the player down. To balance some of the comments that were made on Twitter yesterday, people asking about, get this the striker. Just because we've been linked with a striker doesn't mean he's the answer to our problems. We definitely lacked a striker yesterday. But Leeds have said Willianto is not Premier League ready. That means if Leeds sign him at the age that he is, 18, he would go straight into the under-21 team and would not feature for the first team. So if that's the player we're screaming out to sign, he is not playing first team football when he comes to Leeds. He is going into under-21. So I don't think that's the player. I think he's, again, I said before, if he comes in, I still expect Leeds to bring in another striker, especially after yesterday. Hwang Chan, speaking of that potential striker, Everton are now said to be interested in the player. £15 million being touted. The more clubs that get interested in the player, the more that fee is going to increase and make it more difficult to do. Wolves have said that they need to balance the books a little bit and wheel and deal in the market to get players in. They're going to need to see somebody go out before they can bring players in, and maybe Hwang is the player that's going to facilitate that. Marsh is a fan of his and would like to work with him again, but we'll see what happens with that one. Moving on to outgoings, and Ian Poveda has completed his season-long loan move to Blackpool. Reported yesterday that would look like it was going to happen, and it happened yesterday afternoon. That is a done deal, and Poveda will spend the season long at Blackpool, and best of luck to Poveda. I hope he gets a good run at it this year. He's a good player who was desperately unlucky last year at Blackburn after starting so well with them, so best of luck, Ian. I hope it goes well for you. Also in outgoings, and one to keep an eye on, Man City are keeping tabs on young Leeds starlet Archie Gray. They are said to be very keen on the youngster who has yet to make his senior debut for Leeds, competitive senior debut for Leeds, just missing out against Barnsley in midweek when he picked up a virus and Marsh decided to hold him back. The Athletic are reporting that Manchester City are very keen on the youngster and are keeping tabs on him. Go away, Man City. Not yet. Give it a couple of years to enjoy him, will you? And then just a few bits on yesterday. Look, I think we lost to Brighton. I said yesterday I'd take a draw down at Brighton because we have an awful record down at Brighton. I don't think it's decades since we beat them down there. But I think when you look at some of the stuff from yesterday, passing was just awful. Too many players had an off day, and as Marsh said, didn't stick to the plan. You could see there was no plan the first half. They were doing their own thing. Llorente's passing for me, and his overall play yesterday was dreadful. And I think he is the concern at the back for me, and has been. I've been saying it all summer. If we're looking at replacing anybody, if Trevor Chalobah is being linked with Leeds and coming in, that's the player to replace him with. Some of the passing was awful. But in saying that and being balanced, if someone had offered us 7 points for the first 4 games at the start of the season, I think we'd have taken it with gladly have taken it. So Everton's going to be the one for me that we need to get some points in, because Everton are going to be down the bottom half of the table struggling. You've got to beat the teams that are down there if you don't want to be down in that mix. So that's the big one for me. I think a couple of players would have played themselves out of the team after yesterday. There was some very, very, very below par performances from a couple of people. I've defended Dan James for most of the summer, but I thought yesterday, especially in the second half, not so much the first half, because it was all on the other side of that pitch, but in the second half I thought his effort was minimal. So there's a couple of players that are now, I think, possibly playing themselves out of the team, but we'll wait and see. And that's Tuesday night's problem anyway, so we'll see how this week goes with transfers. I think yesterday may do us a favour. Clearly need a left back, clearly need a centre half, and I would argue that we clearly need a centre half as well. So anyway, that's the news for me this morning. I hope you're having a great weekend outside of yesterday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you tomorrow morning for news. Bye.